Welcome to the Tribulation, day 145, and the world continues to spiral downwards into chaos. And we're all having to face choices, because that's what a tribulation's all about. Choices. You know, looking at the headlines for today, we got Steve Jobs dying at age 56. But look at this. Deadly rampage. It was all over the news yesterday up in Cupertino, actually where I used to work at Apple Computers with Steve Jobs. And you know, the paper actually kind of says right here, it says, friends are in shock because there were no warning signs. You know, that's the problem with what's going on here with this tribulation, is people don't want to open up their eyes to what the hell's going on. Everybody wants to just pretend there's nothing going on and walk around, you know, thinking, oh, everything's okay. You know, the people talking about the end or the tribulation, they're the crazy ones. But you know, what I'll tell you is, you know, my neighbor across the street knows the guy that went on the rampage. You know, he worked at the cement plant. He worked for the same union that fired him. And you know, my neighbor across the street, he's as angry as he can be, because he says that they're killing everybody, that the union and the Teamsters are laying off all the older workers before they can collect their pensions. And you know, once again, that's part of the big lie, the fakeness of this world, this box that we've put around ourselves, the white picket fence, thinking that everything is secure, that our future is all covered, you know, that money will be there from pensions, from retirement funds, you know, in disasters, the government will be there with money. No, they won't. And see, people are not mentally prepared. So when reality actually hits them and they open up their eyes because they've been laid off, and now the pension that they thought was going to be there is not there, and they're saying, how the hell am I going to survive? They go over the edge into chaos. And you know what? There's no justification for going out and killing a bunch of people just because you lose your job and your pensions. But that's what's happening. That's what's happening at the Occupy Wall Street movement. You know, people don't even know why they're out there. They just know the system is broke. You know, we better figure it out real quick, because, you know, I'm telling you, I don't know that there is anything to figure out. There's just, you know, you got to make a choice. So whether you're going to be, you know, the voice of reason, the calm in the storm, or whether you're going to break down because you're so unprepared for reality, because maybe today you're going to your job and, you know, you got a paycheck and at least for now your bills are covered. But you know what? Boom! It's going to hit you. So, you know, wake up now. You know, I just got done watching President Obama this morning, talking. You know, he's clueless. You know, he was talking about the Solyndra fiasco, which, you know, he lost, you know, $500 million of taxpayers' money, which is just a small fraction of all the money he's wasted. But he doesn't care. He's like, oh, it's all good. He goes, we have to compete with China. And he's so clueless. He's like, oh, they're subsidizing, so we have to subsidize. Well, two things. One, they're subsidizing way more than we can ever subsidize. And two, you know, the reason we're not competitive is not because of the subsidizing. It's because they're using slave wages over there. And he didn't even address that, you know. Like, that's the dirty little secret that no politician wants to talk about. And that's why, you know what, there's no averting this disaster. You know, the world, the United States are all going to go over the economic, you know, cliff into the abyss. And, you know, Steve Jobs passing away, you know, I kind of said my piece on it yesterday, but, you know, like I said, Steve was like my mentor. I knew him. We talked to each other, you know, at least a dozen times. You know, I worked in new product operations, so I had to go into his office because I did risk assessments for launching new products. But, you know, Steve taught me a lot. You know, he installed into me the idea of the open door policy, that you kick open the doors of whoever you need to get to the truth. And it served me well at Apple, except, nowadays it doesn't serve you well. And Steve, he viewed the world as good and people as good, and that's why he wanted to change the world, and he did. With the personal computer, the iPod, the iPhone, the iTablet. But, the truth be told, and I view the world as good and people as good, but you know what? A lot of people out there, a current movement that's out there, like the New Age movement, is they want to say there is no evil, that it's just duality, and if you're seeing evil, that means you're evil, which is a big lie. But there is evil out there. That's why we've had wars. That's why there's people like Gaddafi and Assad in Syria just massacring people in the streets. There's that lunatic over in North Korea, Kim Jong-il, where he's been a tyrannical force just enslaving his people for decades. That's evil. And even Steve Jobs, the problem with people, including myself, if you're an optimist and you view everybody as good, you become very susceptible to those that have ulterior motives, the ones that are lurking in the shadows and creeping around and up to no good. And, even at Apple, John Scully, who was a scumbag, because he came in and took all the money and shut off the profit sharing and basically conspired against Steve Jobs with the board to fire him. And it was the worst thing Apple ever did. And they only finally got back to where they're at because Steve Jobs returned to the company. But the point being is there is evil out there. Sinister forces are aligning, and the times that we're in, the tribulation, darker days are ahead. We're all going to be tested. And the box, the old world thinking, you better be ready to just kind of shove it to the side, or you're going to be, disappointed, and you're going to be, on a deadly rampage because you're just like, I don't understand. My whole world is crumbling. The change Steve made in the world, I love it. I love technology. I was right there, one of the first people to use the Macintosh, and I knew it made me a way more productive, more intelligent person. But the truth of it is, everything that Steve did, it's just like money or guns, or any inanimate object, it's just neutral, it's what people do with it that matters. A gun can be good or bad. But likewise, the technology that Steve developed and gave to the world, it's basically neutral. It's what you do with it. So while it helped a lot of people, myself, where I'm like, man, this tool is great. I can communicate. My productivity's up. I can, access more knowledge than ever. There was a dark side to the whole thing, and I saw it right at Apple computers, man. That's why the Macintosh factory, that's why Apple could not compete in America. They had to move their manufacturing overseas. And that's what our President Obama is just clueless of, because he's never worked at a real job in his whole life. But, the technology, the computer, even in Apple, I saw it, man. There were people that weren't using it to get more productive. These were people that were surfing porn sites or, playing games on their computers, like poker or whatnot. So their productivity went down. And, now we're 2 decades into it, and we got whole generations of people that their lives have been affected where they haven't necessarily moved forward in their development. They've moved backwards. They've got an over dependence on technology. I've seen these people. They can't put their cell phones down, and no matter what they do, they got to text message or call somebody to say, what should I do? The critical thinking process is being stopped. And that's the danger, because now with technology, we have the ability to mobilize or mobilize like never before. And it's happening, whether it's in the Mideast, people running around, burning down buildings, or in England, where we just had a week or two of rioting, uncontrolled rioting, or right here in the United States, whether it's Wisconsin or Wall Street, it's spreading like a virus. Because people are angry, people are desperate, people are frustrated, and mobilizing them isn't that hard. Now, people can be mobilized or mobilized for good as well, but I'm telling you, when it comes to, whether it's guns or technology or money, even though they can be used for good or bad, what you'll find is that people using stuff for evil or for negative purposes seems to win the day, to dominate, because it's easier to use stuff for your own greedy purposes. versus using it for some good purpose. Money can be used for good. But I guarantee you, out of 10 people, it kind of sucks. Maybe half are good and half are bad, but in the long run, 8 of them will use the money for negative purposes, and maybe 3 or 4 of them are doing it unwittingly. They don't even know, because they think they're using it for good, but the money's being siphoned off by somebody else, through a charity fund, or, just misdirected or misused. That's the same with technology. The truth of it is that, Steve Jobs changed the world, but right now, I don't know that it's changed for the better. I'm thinking that, the change for the worse is actually what's going to dominate the day, and that's why there's darker days ahead. But we all better wake the hell up to what's going on. I put a song up on my MySpace page called Into the Machine. I'll see if I can link it into this blog here. But, it kind of talks about being caught in a web and being fed into the machine, and that if we don't wake the hell up, and fly on our own, we'll never find our way back home. All right. I'm going to go out there and get my tribulation on. I'm going to be positive, because you know what? That's the key. I'm a force of one. Trying to be positive, trying to counteract all the negativity. All right. God bless everybody out there. Rock on. Keep the faith, and peace.